Hello, welcome to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all of the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. Here on the channel you'll find me chatting about my adventures in knitting, spinning, crochet, occasionally weaving. We haven't had weaving for a while, but hopefully that might change soon. I keep saying that, I think. It's just not enough hours in the day, are there? You are most welcome here, whether you are new or if you have been here 1,000,001 times before. I always appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend listening to me waffle on about the things that I am up to. Today's video is all about my making roundup for March, so all of the things that I managed to achieve throughout the month of March, which yeah, didn't quite go to plan. So yeah, let's get into that. You may have already watched my video that I popped up a couple of weeks ago chatting to you from the beach, from my local beach. In that video I mentioned that I was just coming out of a very difficult couple of mental health weeks, and my energy and enthusiasm for pretty much anything was drained, completely sapped, and I found it really difficult to concentrate on just getting through the day, really. So my making mojo completely went out of the window for a couple of weeks. I did force myself, in essence, to knit a row or two every day just to kind of keep myself in touch with the things that I enjoy. I really didn't make a huge amount of progress on much for a couple of weeks. Having said that, I do have a number of things to share with you. So March wasn't all bad. I just had a little bit of a wobble in the middle of the month. So yeah, still plenty to talk to you about, but not all of the things that were on my making plans for March. So back at the start of March I popped up a video chatting about the things that I hoped to achieve in March, and there were several things on that list that I didn't touch at all. The first were my Latvian mitts. So my intention was to try and add a row every day to that project. I didn't pick those up at all, so I'm just letting that one go for now. And I'll come back to that project at some point later in the year. The other thing that was on my list was 3 sort of mending and alteration projects, and I didn't touch those at all either. None of those were particularly urgent. They're just things that I would like to do. So again, I'm giving myself a pass and I'm not worrying too much about the things that I didn't achieve, and instead let's focus on some of the things that did get done. So I have knitting and spinning to share with you. No crochet last month, but I do have a crochet project in mind to work on this month. Hopefully when I get to do my April wrap-up video, there'll be some crochet for those of you out there who love to see some of that. Right, let's start with spinning, shall we? Yeah, let's dive into spinning. The first thing that I finished in March for my spinning, or the main thing really, is my fleece spin. So I have been working on this project for close to a year now. Last year I was gifted this Jacob Ryland cross fleece. I washed the fleece and I carded up the fleece on my hand carders, and I have been slowly spinning through all of the rolags that I made last summer. And finally I have a basket of finished yarn. There are no more rolags left to spin. So I am super thrilled to have reached the end of the spinning part of this process, and I think I recently popped up a video as I was getting towards the end of this spin about some of my thoughts, my feelings, the things that I've learnt from this particular spin. If you haven't seen that one and you're interested, I'll try to remember to pop a link up on the screen now so you can pop back and have a look should you choose to do so. Now I haven't yet decided what I'm going to do with this yarn. I've yet to actually measure the quantity, so to find out how many meters that I have. Although there looks like there's quite a lot in this basket, a lot of these skeins are 50 grams or less. Now my ideal fleece to finished object project will be to make a sweater. I don't think that this is going to be the ideal sweater yarn for a variety of different reasons. I won't get into it here because I think when I get to the point where I have time to measure this, I'm going to make a separate vlog exploring my thought processes about where we go from here, so what project this gets turned into. However, having said that, while I don't feel like it is the perfect sweater yarn, my ideal from fluff to finished project would be to take a fleece and turn it into a sweater. So if there is perchance enough here for a sweater quantity, then I might just do it anyway, even though I'm not convinced that this yarn will hold up particularly well in the long run, because I have already learnt so much from spinning, the spinning part of this process. I think this yarn has a lot more to teach me about making my ideal sweater yarn. So yeah, that's a little sort of peek into my thought processes for this yarn, but ultimately it's going to completely depend on how much meterage I've got here and whether it will be enough to squeeze a sweater out of. So I've got a little bit more planning to do before I can ultimately decide what this yarn will become, but I will take you on that journey and I will share it here on the channel at some point. I do have one other tiny little sample, finished sample skein that I spun, and oh that is really blowing out. It's this kind of bubblegum pink colour. Can't really find anything that's going to show this as true to colour. Trust me, it's bubblegum pink. And I was rooting around in here because I was going to start a weaving project at the weekend, but I got distracted because I found one of my 3D Turkish spindles had these singles already spun, and the spindle had just got tucked away in a corner, and I had managed to forget about it. So instead of finding the yarn for my weaving project, I got extremely distracted and decided to ply up this really fun little sample skein. So yeah, not too much to say about that. I spun it months and months ago. I've just thrown that little skein over onto my basket, and I feel like this little basket, although it's not showing true to colour on the screen, really kind of sums up me. In that it's pretty much not a colour that I don't like. I admire other podcasters, other folks that I see on Instagram who have a definite kind of aesthetic. They have their particular colours that they absolutely love and go back to again and again and again. And I do have that to a certain extent in my love of orange. You know that if I can knit with orange, if I can squeeze orange into my project somewhere, I will often take the opportunity to do so. But that does not mean to say that I do not love all of the other colours in the colour wheel, because I absolutely do. But I love neutrals too. So yeah, this is kind of me in a basket. Sometimes I wish I could be one of those people who had a definite aesthetic, who had a definite sort of colour palette that they always go for, but yeah, I love all of the things, what can I say? The final project that I'm going to talk to you about today for spinning is my Ashford spin. This has been a spin in progress for 3 years. I talked about it in my making plans video, I think, and yeah, I've made quite good progress on this spin. It doesn't look like it on the spindle, but I actually filled the spindle up and had to wind the yarn off because it was just getting too heavy to spin. So I had half of this fibre left to spin. So I've spun through everything that's on my fancy storage bobbin, and this is all I have left now. Obviously I've got some on the spindle and I've just got a few bumps left, so I'm really close to getting to the end of that spin, and I have on my other fancy storage bobbin the first half of the fibre that I spun up 3 years ago. Don't judge me. You can if you want. Here to be judged. So yes, I am really hopeful that in the not too distant future that spin's going to get finished. On to knitting. The first project that I will show you, I'm only going to show you briefly because I have dedicated a whole video to this project. It's my fluff to finished object project, and I have made this monster from some hand spun yarn. And this is going to go into a little gift box that I'm going to be sending to my brother and his girlfriend, who are expecting a little baby girl end of next month. This is Dot the Dress Up Box Monster from one of Rebecca Danger's books. I think it's the big book of knitted monsters. I'm really pleased with how it's turned out, and if you haven't watched the video and you'd like to find out more about how I went from fluff to a finished object, then there's a whole video dedicated to that up on the channel now. I have been also furiously turning cranked tubes from donated yarn into socks for the West Midlands Ambulance Service sock appeal. Say that 10 times fast. So I have popped up several videos about this appeal now, so I won't spend too much time chatting about it today, but lots of lovely members of the Yarn and Yarns community donated balls of yarn for me to send off to the lovely Charlie of Cranky Lady. And Charlie offers a sock tube cranking service, so she will take your sock yarn and put it through her amazing vintage circular sock machine and turn it into these tubes, and then I am cutting the tubes up and adding heels, toes and cuffs, and these socks are all going to be donated to our lovely friend Jeanette's sock appeal. Jeanette's daughter works for the West Midlands Ambulance Service, and we are trying to help Jeanette make over 400 pairs of socks by December to gift to some of the staff members who work for that service. So I have added heels, toes and cuffs to 4 pairs of socks for that appeal so far, and I'm actually in the middle of my 5th, but I've left those downstairs, so I don't have those to share with you today. So I have this pair, which were a gift from Charlie, this particular yarn, and I made a pair for myself from the tube, and I've turned the leftovers into socks for the appeal. I have 2 pairs in this lovely pink and grey and beige colourway. I believe this was a drops yarn, and it was kindly donated by Sean, and I have used West Yorkshire spinners and some Rowan fine art to add various combinations of colours of heels, toes and cuffs for those 2 pairs. And then this final pair, I believe this was also another drops yarn donated by Sean, and I've turned these into a larger pair of socks. So I got 2 pairs of socks from this lot of 100 grams of yarn, and I have turned this 100 grams of yarn into 1 pair of socks for a larger foot. So yeah, I'm doing a combination. Obviously with 400 people to provide socks for, we're going to need a variety of different sizes, small feet, large feet and everything else in between. So I'm trying to make sure that when I'm putting in my heels, toes and cuffs, I'm making a variety of different sizes. So yes, a nice little pile of 4 pairs of socks to go off to Jeanette at some point later on in the year. I've got one more finished object to share with you, and it's a big one. I finished my Aurealis sweater. I wasn't actually that far off of finishing last time I showed you. I believe I just had, did I just have the second sleeve to knit? Had I finished the first sleeve? I can't remember, but it's finished now. So this is a sweater that I cast on back in December for my 12 cast ons extravaganza, and I have used a combination of my hand spun for the contrast colour, and this is some black and blue from the lovely Midwinter Yarns, and it's a Welsh yarn made from fleeces sourced here in Wales. I used the Captain's Coat colourway, this lovely navy, and as I say, I contrasted it with some hand spun yarn. I altered the sleeve pattern slightly. I had, by the time I'd finished the yoke, I think I had about 12 grams of my hand spun left. I think the colourwork chart for the sleeves, if you choose to do it, there are various options in the pattern. It's a pattern by Jen Steingass. I think the pattern's about 34 rows long. I chose to knit just 14 rows of that pattern. I'm not going to put it on now because I'm already feeling quite warm up here in my craft attic, and I've only got a t-shirt on, so a big woolly jumper. I'm just going to overheat today. It's getting much warmer here in South Wales, which is very nice, but not so great if you like to wear your woolies. I did, however, do a little photo shoot of me wearing this sweater. I took it down to the local beach, I think at some point last week. No, I've got some photos, and I may have done a sweater dance video. I honestly, I can't remember. It has slipped my mind. I think I did. So following here will either be a finished sweater dance or at the very least a little slideshow of me wearing this sweater so you can see what it looks like on. So yes, I'm super pleased with how that turned out. Before I blocked the sweater, so after I finished knitting it, I tried it on, and I felt like I might need to extend the length of the sweater a little bit. I did try the sweater on at various points as I was knitting. The last time I tried the body on, I had not knit the sleeves, so I tried it on and I felt like it was the right length, and then when I knit the sleeves and tried it on again, it felt like it was a little bit short. And I think sometimes at least I feel that when I try on a sweater without sleeves, it doesn't quite sit in the same way that it will eventually wear when you do have the sleeves attached. So initially I was a little bit disappointed. I thought, oh, I'm going to have to rip out the bind off and add a couple of inches. I knew, because this is a non-superwash yarn, that it wouldn't stretch in the same way that a superwash yarn does. But as luck would have it, it did stretch a little bit, maybe ½ inch to 1 inch, and that was kind of all I needed to be much happier with the length. I'm reasonably confident that this sweater will stay as it is. I did think also that I might need to rip back the sleeves, because the sleeves grew quite a lot. They were kind of the perfect length before I washed this, and then because of that little bit of stretch factor, they turned out a little bit long. But having worn this, when I went to do my photo shoot, I actually wore it instead of a coat. It was another warm, nice sort of warm spring day, so I wore my sweater, and actually the sleeves slightly pushed up felt manageable. They didn't feel like they were getting in the way. The length are such that in the winter, when you want the extra warmth, they'll come down to about here, which is, I think, quite nice to sort of pull down over your hands. But I'm going to keep the yarn handy, because when I do have the opportunity to wear it a few more times, that is when I will definitely decide whether I do need to make any adjustments to the sweater or not. But as it stands at the moment, I'm really happy, and I think it's going to be okay. But the proof will be in the wearing once I've been able to wear it a few times. So yeah, that was my kind of roundup for my finished objects for the month of March. I do have a couple of other knitting projects that I picked up and worked on a little bit. They're still works in progress, but I thought I'd just share with you. After I finished the Aurealis sweater, I was finding a lot of comfort in just the basic round and round knitting that I'd done in the sleeves for that. So I was trying to look around for a project that would give me that similar, just round and round, keep my hands busy feeling. So I revisited my Otra sweater, which is a pattern by Skein Deer, and this is another one that I'm using my hand spun with a commercial yarn contrast for. So I have managed to finish the yoke of this. I don't think I've shown this on the podcast for ages. When I last showed it, I think I was fairly close to finishing the colour work portion of this. When I picked it up, I'd already finished the colour work portion, and I was just working on this kind of round and round section here. I stalled on this slightly because I wanted to block out what I'd knit, and this construction calls for steeking to insert the armholes. So I've got to the point where you can see my finger coming through there, so I've cast off the steek. I'm now in the portion of the body where you just knit round and round and round, but I thought before I go to the effort of doing all the round and round knitting, I'm actually going to put the steek in and make sure that the arms fit okay, and ensure that it's worth kind of carrying on. This is a fingering weight sweater, so it will be one heck of a lot of knitting to finish the length of this sweater if I then go back and find that I don't like the fit at the arms, and there's not really any way around it. It's going to be one of those things, you know, once it's steeked, and I won't really be able to use the yarn again, but I feel like I just need to go back and go for it. I think it's going to be fine, but yeah, I just want to get those steeks done at some point before I carry on. I just have to flash this gorgeous project bag that my Otra is living in. This was a super kind gift from Christine. Thank you so much, Christine, if you're watching today. I love this bag so much. It's been languishing on the shelf behind me for far too long, so it was nice to add a little bit of work to this sweater. And then of course, once I had decided to block the top of the Otra, I needed another project to fulfill my my urge to just mindlessly knit round and round or backwards and forwards. So I pulled out my Hitchhiker, which is another of my 12 cast on projects for this year. This was project number 4 and I managed to get quite a lot of this done over the last week or so. So let me try and hold this up. So this beautiful, oops, wrong way, he's the wrong way around. This lovely Happy Cat progress keeper marks where it was when you last saw this. So the first day that I cast on, I knit from here to here. And then in the last week or so, I have added from here to where, oops, to where I am right now. So a lot of length has been added to this particular project. I absolutely adore this yarn. This yarn was a super special gift from my dear friend Erin. Hi Erin, if you're watching. And Erin had this specially dyed for me based off the cover of my all-time favourite book, The Secret Garden. So yeah, I think you can totally see that cover reflected in this yarn with these streaks of orange. It's just an absolute joy to work on, and I've not got that much yarn left, so I need to weigh this. I think I follow the pattern until there's about 6 grams left, I think the pattern says, and then I swap out what I'm doing slightly. So yeah, I'm so close. Probably another evening, maybe 2 left, and this lovely Hitchhiker will be finished. So yeah, this has been bringing me a lot of joy when I have been finding it difficult to focus on my projects. So yeah, thank you so much Erin for bringing me some comfort and joy when I needed it most. That project is living in this bag. I can't remember the maker. It may be Amelia Joy on Etsy. I'm not sure if she's still making bags. But I loved this. The colours in this bag reflect the colours in the yarn. So yeah, that was everything that I worked on in March. So although I did have a blip in the middle, it was by no means a bad month. I stuck to some simple knitting and just plugged away at some of those projects, and in the end managed to get a fair amount done, even if it didn't include all of the things that I'd hoped and I made my making plans at the beginning of the month. So yeah, that's everything from me today. I would love to know in the comments what you finished in the month of March or what you worked on. Please do let me know. Also, I want to say before I sign off today, a huge thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel. This week I hit 1,000 subscribers, which just completely blows my mind that I've reached that milestone. I have been making videos for quite a few years now. I've never really kind of like pushed to advertise the channel too much, though I do share a little bit more now on some of the other social media platforms when I do upload a video. The channel's kind of grown organically over the last few years, and I'm so thankful, grateful for the community that has grown up here. Yeah, I can't thank you enough. Everyone who has watched a video, who has liked a video, who subscribes to the channel, who has helped me to continue to make the videos here by supporting either via Ko-fi or joining over on Patreon. Yeah, it's just, you're all just amazing. What can I say? I know you hear people harping on about this all the time. It does take a little bit of time to get videos recorded, edited and uploaded, but the interactions that I have with all of the folks in the Yarn and Yarns community make every single minute worthwhile. I may do some sort of giveaway in the future to celebrate that 1,000 subscriber milestone, but I haven't yet put my thinking cap on to get my head around that, so watch out for news on that in the future. I've got some beautiful prizes that have been recently donated by Jenny and by Kate. Thank you so much, lovely ladies. And I still have a lovely prize pot of things to share with you that were sent to me by Jeanette earlier on in the year too. So I know that I can pull together an amazing giveaway for everyone. I just need to put some thought into how I'm going to do that, so watch out for news on that soon. I will be back again soon, chatting about my adventures in knitting, spinning, crochet and weaving. I will definitely be chatting to you soon about my April making plans, but there'll be lots of other content coming soon, so I hope you will join me for the next video. But until we get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now.